Welcome players, this is the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We will begin the evening with Seda Kruger singing the national anthem. If you want to remove your hats, silence, and military salute. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? That's a tough act to follow. Oh my gosh, Sarah, thank you. That was beautiful. We have a little housekeeping to do. We wouldn't be here without World Foosball Tours. That is Ryan Moore taking over from the IFP. He's here with his crew. We got to give a shout out to Ryan and WIState. I think they've got big things coming in the future. How about this venue? If you're a repeat or if it's your first time here, Mad Apple, serious rocks. Kendall and his staff take such good care of us. So easy to work with. Mad Apple is, you can throw a lot of tournaments in a lot of spots, but it really makes a big difference, and this place is excellent. We are not here without the committee. We have a 5-man committee. Brett kind of takes the top. Teddy, Matt, Rich, and I kind of follow behind. If you're a promoter, surround yourself with good people. Makes it so much easier. We each take pieces of it so that nobody's burdened with too much, and it works really well. This weekend, we're expecting fierce competition and highlight real moments, but also we're expecting community and sportsmanship and true celebration of this chasing a red ball around a great table. Whatever it is, we love it. Thank you to our neighbors who continually support us. Minnesota, you guys are always here. Iowa, Chicago guys, Michigan. I don't want to exclude anyone, but our neighbors have been really, really good at supporting Wisconsin foosball. In the Hall of Fame process, we've drawn our inspiration a little bit off the Colorado format. You don't have to be a world champion, you don't have to be over 40 years old, you don't have to have a room full of trophies. Our mission is pretty clear. It's to honor those who are the foundation of Wisconsin foosball, those who have shaped the game by exemplifying excellence and professionalism both on and off the table. I think I have 5 or 6 Hall of Fame members in the room. If you guys will stand, Randy Manos, Bob Hayes, Bill Malone. Brad Hayes. And so, it's a true honor to be here with you guys. We started this in the late 90s and it faded away for a few years, and I'm really proud to have revived it and have these players or these promoters or however they built and sustained Wisconsin foosball. Very, very great group of guys. All right, our first inductee is not here tonight, but his son is here tonight. Brad Hayes is one of our first Hall of Fame inductees from 1999. He was a player in the late 70s and 80s. 2001, he takes off to Romania. He's a pastor. He's got 14 churches under him. He's working with about 800 kids in some of the poorest areas of Romania. He has a story to tell about his father. I'd like to bring Brad up, and he can share that with you.
Before I start talking about my father, I do want to just take another few moments and draw attention to the organizers. I know Karma started talking about it, but I think they deserve a standing ovation, really. All of this is a wonderful event that takes a ton of time. I can't imagine how much time goes into something like this. It's a huge undertaking with a big blessing to all of us. But all of your passion and your professionalism is very inspiring. I know I've been very blessed to be here. So I just want to name a few people: Ryan, Jody, Craig, Matt, Don, Mike, Karma, Brett, Ted, Amanda, and anybody else who went into this, all of the table repairers. Let's all stand and give them a stand. Yes. Let's continue. Thank you. I decided to write out what I was going to say because it will help me to not ramble and not get off on any rabbit trails. But it's really quite an honor to be here tonight. From 1977 to 1982, I lived here in the Fox Valley, living and breathing foosball. How many of you can relate to that?
I remember that.
Doug was there. From here, I entered the Wisconsin foosball scene, developing many, many good friendships and precious memories with people like, people like Shane Krieger, Bill Maloney, Chuck Nichols. I don't know if Chuck's still here tonight. Leonard Horgan, Gordon Neve, Dan Neve, Bob Halverson, Mike Patrick, my new friend that I actually met in this room a few years ago, Aaron Gilmore. The list goes on and on. Don Shelfo and I go way back into the 1970s, and just many others. I really miss those days a lot. They were very important for me in my personal development, just as a person, and building self-esteem, and just really becoming a better student of myself and who I am, what my values are. But in 1982, after I won the Pro Singles World Championship in Chicago, I began to evaluate my life a little bit. And shortly after that, I became a master, and it was at that time that I chose to walk away from foosball and dedicate myself to marriage and family and what I'll call life after foosball. There is life after foosball. So I like the idea of impact. I love that word. And I'm really sorry that I have to look down at my notes, but with the lighting here, and it's really hard to see all of you, and as a public speaker anyhow, I know how important it is even for me to have eye contact, but I really want to get this right to honor my father well. But I love the idea of impact. I think all of us are called to impact the lives of other people, to make a difference in the lives of other people. And it can happen, it can really happen. We all have the potential to make a difference in somebody's life, and all of us know that from our parents, especially mothers, grandmothers, grandparents, neighbors, aunts and uncles, all the vital investors in our life. We've all received a lot from many people, but we're not all called to only receive. We're really created and called to be givers. But sometimes that person who impacts our life might be a complete stranger. And I want to illustrate this in the life of my father, Bob Hayes, who was originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He graduated from Washington High School there and went to Marquette University, and then he was off and running out into other states and eventually ended up in Dallas, Texas. But he was the co-founder of Tornado Foosball, my father was, in 1970. My father was, he wasn't just a pioneer in American foosball history. He's considered to have been, to started the first American-made foosball table. I'm very, proud to be able to say that. But he was a very intriguing and engaging, socially engaging person. And so, like, at any foosball tournament, you would never know he was the owner of Tornado Foosball. He would be sitting at the tables talking to players, laughing, yucking it up, and he was just a very wise man. His small vending company, Bob Hayes Sports Systems, turned into Tornado Foosball, and then into an international foosball movement.
Thank you. Excuse me.
That's like a drum roll for what I just said. I should repeat that. I was there with him in those years, in the early 70s. I witnessed the evolution of the table and the sport. I was there with my father in the agonizing conversations. He talked to me about how Dynamo and Hurricane were copying their patents. They were trying to get patents for all the best parts of the table. Couldn't get them, and Dynamo was using a lot of their great innovative ideas. But from there, from Dallas, they launched out all through Texas, into Oklahoma, Louisiana, Kansas, Missouri, Colorado, and then I'd say to the ends of the earth. I don't even know how far Tornado has gone. He was the name, he was the face, he was the heart and soul of this foosball table that all of you love to play on. I think the best way to say it is it was his baby. He gave birth to Tornado Foosball, and it eventually became his claim to fame. His life and legacy has touched the lives of countless foosers across the globe. Even if they didn't know it, he did that. Each time that anybody walks up to a Tornado table and touches it, his life touches theirs, and their life touches his, because Tornado Foosball and Bob Hayes were synonymous. They were the same. Most of us have heard of Disneyland or Disney World, and of course with its very creative, innovative, visionary founder, Walt Disney. But many people don't know that Walt Disney never saw Disneyland or Disney World. He died before they were finished. And the saying goes that there was a conversation between a few people about that, and one person said to the other, well, wasn't it sad that Walt never saw Disneyland or Disney World? And the person said back to him, well, he did see Disneyland and Disney World. That's why they exist. He saw it before it ever happened. He did see his dream. He did see his vision become reality. And that's very similar to my father. Visionaries are people who go over the horizon into the future, and they get a glimpse of what can be, and then they come back into the present, and they work, and they will that future and that dream into existence. I know that my father would be very happy and find it incredibly rewarding to see what has happened in foosball globally from his pioneering days. But he did see it. And that is why, at least to a small degree, and as much that comes from him, and I don't want to take any credit from anybody else who is part of the process, it does exist. He threw a stone into the water, and the ripples turned into waves, and those waves have gone out further and bigger, even until this day. I'm very thankful and honored to be with all of you tonight, to remember and honor my father, the foosball pioneer, the founder of Tornado Foosball, the first American-made foosball table, the one and only Bob Hayes, and I'm glad that I can be here to accept his being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Suggested that I just share briefly about my life in Romania. So, by the way, Tony Spreadman is a friend of mine, and Sylvia and I was with him just not too long ago. Our organization helped Tony get a visa so he can actually stay in Romania. So, like my father, I'm a pioneer, but in a much different place and a much different passion. I'm the founder of an organization called Outstretched Hands of Romania in Romania. I've lived there now for 24 years. I went for 3. I've been there for 24 years. It's hard to believe. I live and work in one of the poorest parts of Romania. We work with, like Karma said, at least 800 children per week in our community centers focused on humanitarian, medical, educational, teaching kids how to read, getting them into school, keeping them into school, because children are not the future, they are not the future, they are the present. And neglecting the present and the children is like abandoning the future, all of our future. And so we focus on the children. And then also through the children, their families, the communities, and this is a larger than life responsibility for me. But I love the life that God gave to me. I intentionally surrounded myself from the beginning with poverty, brokenness, dysfunction like you could never imagine. You could never imagine the kind of people, the homes, the lives, the craziest things that are happening in these very dark places, having to do with human trafficking, and including, even crazy things like husbands sending their wives into prostitution for money so that they don't have to work. I can't even fathom that. But my desire and aim is to bring healing always to the brokenhearted, remember the forgotten, and bring love and value to those who know, understand their immeasurable worth to the God who made them. In the process, personally, I've received so much more than what I've received. And in that process, it started a movement of love and transformation that goes throughout Romania and into other parts of Romania. I loved foosball, but I'm very thankful for what I have now. And actually, just to end now, is one of the things that we're going to try to do is add foosball into the things that we're doing there, and use foosball to bring kids into our lives and help them. And so maybe some of you would get involved in that somehow. I don't know. We'll see. But with that, I can just say thank you for giving me the time. And it was really, truly a great honor for me to be here, to be with all of you, to talk to many of you. And I look forward to being with you in the future. So thank you, Karma, and everybody.
has some deep roots on tornado foosball. All right, our second inductee. This one's been a while coming. What we do, there's 15 of us on the Hall of Fame committee. We usually get together in January, start throwing out some nominations, and then vote on 2 players to be inducted each year. This guy's name has come up last 2-3 years. Didn't have enough votes. This year he got a whole mess of votes. Long time coming. I've probably known Jeff for 25 years or so, but I know his foosball career goes back a lot further than that. There's a couple of people who would like to tell you about it. Miss Lindsay Albert.
Hello. So, I wasn't planning on crying today, but Santa got me started with the national anthem. So, you're very good at that, and thank you for that. It was awesome. Unlike Brad, I'm not used to public speaking so much, but I also have to apologize for reading off my notes here, because I was just asked to do this a day and a half ago, and I had to throw some notes together, and the people at the front desk here printed them for me, so I also have to read. So I was talking with Jeff kind of about a timeline of about how long we've known each other, and I have to say that my memory is not the best of times, dates, days, and I think we've come up with the first time we met. Where am I? First time we met, I believe, was around 2003, where we cheered on a young Tony Sprademan in the stands to his first open singles win in Vegas, and that was Worlds at the time. And there is a picture out there to prove that somewhere where Jeff and I were in the stands. You know, we obviously were fans at the time and wanted to see Tony win. I'm also hoping with this information that I don't have the best of memories of times and dates, that the next presenter, Rob, is going to give you a better timeline of your achievements and awards. You know, and he's also much older and much wiser, and has been along for Jeff's foosball career, so I'm hoping that he gives you some better highlights than I've got for Jeff's good moments in foosball. I just have a couple quick stories of memories that we've got. So after that 2003 World Championship where we had met each other, I was in college the next couple of years in Columbus, Ohio, and I was at the time, as you know, dating Tony Sprademan, and that was a long distance thing that went on for a few years, and after a while, and I had been to a few tournaments within that time over the years and got to know Jeff a little bit better, and kind of developed a relationship with him because he was close to Tony, so I got to know him a little bit, and fast forward to a few years later in the summer of 2007, I moved to Wisconsin to what we called 81st Street in West Dallas, where him and his wife Julie lived. And we lived above, they have like a mother-in-law suite above their home where they lived. And we lived there for about 3 years before we moved to Florida. I think we moved in 2010. But amongst, like, as far as foosball goes, amongst weekly draws and leagues in the Milwaukee area at the time, the 3 years I spent in that house, I played more foosball than I ever have in my life. It was the it house for foosball. Everybody went there. All of these guys in the corner were always there. Jeff had people over weekly, if not daily. The local players came and went in that house as they pleased. They didn't even have to ask. Jeff didn't even have to be there, and they would just show up. At the time, Eric Holtner and his roommate Justice at the time, who also played foosball, haven't seen him in a long time, don't know where he went. But Justice and then Mike Swagger lived a couple of streets over. And I would wake up at 8 in the morning going to work, and they would just be in our house on the couch drinking coffee. And I'm like, this is just how this went. I never saw anything like it. But that's just, they let everybody in their house, and it was just like the place to be. And that was great. Emilio was also a fan favorite around the house. He was always there. He's one of your Hall of Fame inductees as well. And Emilio spent the majority of his time at the house, pestering Jeff and Julie's pets and making them like fight all the time and like just causing mayhem in the house. Most of the time, I mean, you know, that was his MO. So also after that, like we would just have some fun, everybody in the house have fun, but most of us would gather either in the basement or out back where Julie, the grill master, would be out there grilling up some wings and food for everybody. There was never a dull moment, constant entertainment, and this is just how it went in that house. Excuse me. Jeff was always very accommodating for the Foosers and made sure we had a place to hang out and have a good time. We hosted a tournament in that basement at called the 81st Street Classic, which is still a favorite and often get mentioned by Jeff, where we took all the old trophies in the house and put our own made-up titles on those trophies and handed them out. We also hosted one of the first big fireball tournaments in Milwaukee at the time, and nobody seems to remember the date. I've asked like 10 people in here, but I think it was in 08 or 09. What was it? 2010? Okay. 2010, so we hosted the big fireball tournament in Milwaukee. It was at a local foosball bar that we played at, and it got a bigger turnout than expected, and we got kicked out of the bar at about 2 a.m. with so many people still in the brackets. And Jeff, being the awesome guy that he is, didn't want to let anybody down. And we packed up tables, took them to that basement, and we continued to play that tournament till like all hours of the night. And I honestly don't know how Julie, who doesn't play foosball, has put up with Jeff and all of his loud foosball friends and us all these years until all hours of the night when she'd have to get up for her nursing shift the next morning. So she also deserves an award for that. Julie would make sure everyone was fed and entertained, and we played countless, endless games of Yahtzee. We have thousands of papers of Yahtzee games that we've got that are still there somewhere. And sometimes the boys would join in, and the girls would always win, of course, telling them to just stick to foosball or Call of Duty or whatever they did best. Sorry. But I was going to say, so now we've passed Yahtzee. That's, young, immature game, and we have now, in our older, much wiser ages, as I mentioned earlier, have moved on to cribbage, which we play pretty much, every time I'm here, every time we see each other. But this time, Jeff usually gets to win. Jeff and Julie both beat me, because it creates a lot of counting, and I'm not good at math, and so they really outmath me for the cribbage. He doesn't cheat at all. Never. Other than at that house, Jeff and I and friends traveled weekly to Madison, Watertown, La Crosse with Karma, Chicago with Uncle Don, and all the guys over these trips in the years. Jeff and I have built a bond that is as close as family can be, and I know he and Julie consider me their own. In summer times, we would go to plenty of Brewers games and had many days throwing the ball back and forth in the yard and had many trips around the corners to the ice cream shop, all things a good dad would do. I have been playing foosball since I was a kid because both my parents played foosball. And the best thing about this sport is the people we're surrounded by and this thing that we call Foosfan, which everybody here is a part of. We all know how that feels. You can go literally anybody in the world and you have somebody to rely on and somebody to go to. We create unbreakable bonds that will carry us through the years, and I can't thank Jeff and Julie enough for being there for me over the years and would do anything for me and continue to come spend their time with me in Florida once or twice a year just to see me and maybe get a little sunshine too. There are perks of coming to Florida after all. To sum this up, I know I didn't sit here and talk about all of Jeff's achievements in foosball, which there have been plenty of over the years, and he's made a huge impact on Wisconsin foosball, especially in the Milwaukee area. I just have to conclude with, there was a silly, made-up saying, don't know where it came from or who started it, that it was Mike Swagger, Eric, Tony, Greg, Jeff. They used to say all the time to anybody, and it really could have been about anything. They would just look at you for no reason and go, "What have you done?" You go, "Do something." And yeah, it was more of a dig at you to be like, get on with it, like do something better, or don't be lazy. So it was just this ridiculous thing. You could walk in the door and they would just like look at you, "What have you done?" So you have to be better and go on and be better about your day. But I can say on behalf of myself and your family and all of your foosball friends here that you have done something. You've done a lot more than just something. And you've earned this induction into the Wisconsin Hall of Fame, and I couldn't be happier for you, and thank you for asking me.
Yeah! Woo, woo.
All right, Lindsay gave you, my name's Rob, also the really old guy. Thanks, Lindsay. Lindsay just gave you the sweet sanitized version of Jeff. I'm here to give you the real version of Jeff. So, Jeff learned foosball down south, and it really shows. I mean, obviously he shoots a pole, right? His gamer tag is pole shooter, by the way. If you get killed by someone in Call of Duty and pole shooter shows up, that was Jeff. But he learned from guys like Billy Kaler, Rodney Jenkins, other guys like that. It really influenced him. And you can see that in Jeff's game this day. It's that down south, hard-nosed, old-school foosball. And Jeff has kind of an honor code when it comes to foosball. I made the mistake early on of shooting a 5-bar shot on Jeff, and I saw from the look in his face, it was like I said something about his mother, and that was the last time I ever shot a 5-bar. If you want to get him mad, start shooting 5-bar shots at him. But he taught me how to be a responsible goalie, the finer points of the game. I thought it was all about blocking, and Jeff taught me things like, don't let that ball out of your zone. He would call timeouts to say, you shouldn't have let that ball out of your zone. And thank you, Jeff. That's the reason I'm the goalie I am today, is because I don't let stuff out of my zone. But if you get to play with Jeff, he notices everything. If you've got a slightly different grip when you're going to go long or you're going to go short, like Jeff sees that. It actually makes me a little paranoid when I'm playing him. And he'll say things that are really wise. I think about all the time, even when I'm not playing with Jeff. Like, don't let that change your defense. I don't think you can ever do that one again. Like, don't adjust things just because somebody did something once. Make him do it again. And he talked a lot about confidence. The foosball, those of you guys playing foosball a while, foosball's a lot about confidence. And I remember playing with Jeff real early on. You know, I was a rookie, never won anything, maybe barely won a match. And we're suddenly 3 up in the winners bracket, and I look over at Jeff and I'm like, I think we can actually win this tournament. He said, of course. Like, I've never played a tournament I couldn't win. And he looked at me like I was an idiot for that. And, you know, sometimes he'll say that. Sometimes he'll give you wise advice, like, you know, the split opens up every time he posts. And other times Jeff just knows what, you know, his partner needs to hear. Like, Rob, just walk up to the table like a boss and rip the back of the table out. Sometimes that's the mentality you gotta have. And Jeff he always knew what to say. But Jeff, if you know Jeff, he's overcome a lot of injuries over the years. Recently he had a torn rotator cuff, did surgery. Jeff fired his doctor because he didn't think the surgeon was taking his foosball profession serious enough. Kind of laughed at him when he told him he needed to get back on the foosball table, and so Jeff just fired the guy. But Jeff spent months like moving his arm back and forth in some crazy contraptions so he could play foosball, and it worked. He's here playing better than ever this weekend. Jeff has so many jackets, he couldn't fit them in closets anymore, and Julie made him get rid of all his jackets. But what she did was, she put them on frames like the back of the jacket. He's got a room in his house that's just filled with the backs of these jackets. If you look at it, it's really awe-inspiring. The earliest ones I've seen were like the Wisconsin State right here, 1995 rookie singles, and that's when he got started, like early 90s, Jeff started playing and things like that. But I think he's most proud of the 2005 win with Ronald. Is Ronaldson now?
Yeah,
Yeah, 2005 semi-pro doubles at the World Championships. Those are huge brackets.
By the way, Jeff blocked on match ball and scored it out of the back to win that.
Match ball out of the back. But most of the jackets, I mean, he's got tons of Wisconsin State jackets, obviously. He's got Maryland State, Michigan State, Illinois State, a lot of open titles from those states. He always tells me that the Illinois State ones are easy because there's no good players from there. But the people that Jeff taught the game is like a who's who of foosball these days. You don't realize how many pro masters have come out of Jeff's basement. Obviously Tony Spreeden, but Eric Hautner, Emilio Gilmore. I've been over there, and suddenly I'll be playing some guy from Germany. So German Chris Marks was in Jeff's basement one time. British players like Rod Atha, Todd Lafredo has been over there training with Jeff. It's like a pro master academy in his house. But the most important thing about Jeff, though, he's just an amazing friend. I can't tell you how many times. And everybody from Milwaukee that's anywhere near Jeff will tell you he'll drop everything anytime you need help with something. He's just a great friend. And he's the glue that's been holding that together in Milwaukee foosball for a very long time. Calls, gets the guys together. He kept leagues alive when someone had to step up. Jeff's a super busy guy, but he steps up when he has to. And anyway, thanks to all you've done for Wisconsin foosball, Jeff. Man, we all love you, buddy. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Oh, Jesus, this is going to suck.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, Greg gave me Kleenex, because I'm probably going to need it. Yeah. But I'm going to read to you also, because I did prepare a speech, and I'm going to totally read it like I'm a friggin' robot, because otherwise, if I wing it, I'm going to totally start crying, because I am a pretty emotional dude. If you guys ever played against me, I do play with a bit of emotion. This is amazing. And the company that I'm joining, these are my foosball heroes, not just in the game, in their play and how awesome they are at this game, but just the type of people that they are. I mean, I'm looking at Bob Halverson, I see Gordy, right? Bill Maloney, Ronnie, right? Emilio, Aaron. These are great people. It's not just that they're great players, they're really, really great people. And that's what this here foosball community is all about, right? I was talking to somebody here yesterday. We all have friends. We all have acquaintances. And even some people that you think are friends, you maybe need something, and maybe they're not available to you. The cool thing is, this foosball community, this foosball family that we're in, if we need help, if we need something, if there's something that we ask, maybe we only see these people once a year. The crazy thing is, anybody in here would go out of the way for somebody else in this room right away. So now I'm going to read. Good luck with that. All right. So give me a break. Hopefully I don't start crying, all right? So, standing here tonight, being inducted into the Foosball Hall of Fame for Wisconsin, it is truly an honor. Absolutely an honor to me. This means a lot to me. It's not just a weird little thing and a weird little game, and I tell other people that I work with that this is happening, and at first they're like, foosball, is there really such a thing? But then all of a sudden they're like, really, like Hall of Fame? Like, I'm probably not going to get in the Hall of Fame, and there's nobody that I know personally. So honestly, when all of a sudden I was telling other people that this is actually happening, it really hit me that this is something special. So everybody that's in this, and everybody in this room, you have the possibility of being in the Hall of Fame. You really do. It's super cool. It's an incredible honor. I'm blessed, especially just because of the people. But I never imagined when I first started twisting rods and losing games in some crazy roller rink in West Bend that this would happen. First and foremost, I want to thank Ronnie, Aaron, and Emilio for taking me under your wing, showing me what this game is really all about. You guys didn't just teach me how to play, you taught me how to think, taught me how to adjust, and mostly the love of this game. This is a game of love. This is the game of life. It's unique. There's nothing else like it. When somebody's 3 feet from you and that is your opponent, it's crazy, right? You can feel their emotion. You can seriously feel the heat in it. You know the aggression. And you also know that afterwards you're going to shake their hand. How cool is that? You see sports nowadays, people don't shake their hands afterwards. That's nuts to me. This game is awesome. You know what I mean? Seriously, when somebody beats you, you take it. You know what I mean? And you look at them and go, you got the last point. Great job. But I wouldn't be here without those guys. Now, I also want to thank my grandma and my grandparent and my grandmother. You let me come to their basement they had a foosball table. So I didn't have room in my parents' house to put a foosball table. My grandparents let me put a foosball table in their basement. And it was right underneath their bedroom, which I never really thought about until years later. And you have Aaron, and anybody that knows Aaron Gilmore knows that Aaron's a bit late for things. You know what I mean? Like all the things. He's a bit pro master, even coming up to a table to play a match. You know what I mean? Well, he would show up at my grandparents' house at like 1 in the morning, and we would play till 5 in the morning. It was crazy. But my grandparents never once complained. And we had these crazy marathon sessions. The media would come over, Aaron would be over. It was awesome. They'd make breakfast for us in the morning. Seriously, thank you, Grandma and Grandpa. You guys are wonderful. And to Jules, my wife. Seriously. So, we've been married for 32 years. That's amazing. 32. Yes, Vivian. Older, more than you've been alive. Double. But believe it or not, she's been involved in foosball since the very beginning. How crazy is that? And supported it all this while. Like Lindsay was talking about. Seriously, you've been my rock. It's been awesome. You let me play this crazy game literally all over the world. Thank you. You let our house be overrun with foosball tables and players for years. There's times that we had 4 tables in our basement, 3 different kinds. It's crazy. You hosted probably thousands of people over the years, creating a place where the game and the friendships around it could thrive. I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you. Yeah. All right, I kept it together this long, but this is going to suck. All right, so nobody judge me for crying here. All right, a huge thank you to Tony, Lindsay, Emilio, and Eric. You all pushed me to be a better player and a better person, and that's the truth. In ways I didn't even realize at the time, Tony, Emilio, and Eric, the drive to succeed, the competition, confidence, the lessons, you made me, you made me level up. You made me become a better person, and a better player too, but much more a better person. And my Lindsay, you make me smile, always. I strive every day.
Yeah, baby, come on.
Seriously, I strive every day to try to have the big heart that she has. She loves everybody in here and loves this game. It's awesome. And I try to be like that. It's not easy, but she's got that. She's also the best mixed partner. You guys are missing out. Thank you for playing with me. Yeah. All right, to my Milwaukee gang, my Daily Foos family, Greg, Rob, Kevin, James, Tim, all the rest of the guys. If I didn't name your name, it isn't because I don't love you, But the foosball community as a whole, thank you for always being there, always showing up. The entire foos community has welcomed me to a table, no matter where in the world I am playing. And I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to play all over this world. The foos family is awesome. And it's not just in the United States or North America. When you go to Spain and play, when you go to Netherlands and play, they welcome you just like in this wonderful building right here. And by the way, so I don't forget, is this not the best tournament? It really is. It's awesome. And everybody, Teddy, thank you. Matt, it's just, we have the best venue here, and we have the best people, you know. But when I say the best people, I mean worldwide. The foosball community is fantastic, and everybody loves everybody. It's awesome. When I went and played over in the Netherlands at their training facility, they welcomed me like I was a local. It's awesome, you know. Even playing on that crazy lead hard table, which I don't. But anyway, this game has given me so much. Lifelong friendships, unbelievable memories, more late nights than I can count. I'm grateful for every one of them. Thank you all so much. What have you done? Do something. Anything. Remember that.
I got nothing else other than this is a family, and once you're in it, you're in it. These people will help you out of a jam. They'll beat you on the table, and then they'll loan you $30. Whatever it is. This is a family. All right, enough of this. Let's play some ball.